I always thought Stacy and I had a solid marriage. 8 years together, 4 of them married. We weren't perfect, but who is? We had built a life filled with little traditions. Weekend road trips, Friday movie nights, and lazy Sunday morning coffee runs. She wasn't just my wife, she was my best friend, the person I trusted more than anyone in the world. Stacy was always ambitious, always pushing forward in her career. I admired that about her. I never felt insecure about her success. If anything, I was proud. But looking back now, I see the signs. The small shifts. The quiet changes. The things that should have warned me. As her career soared, our routine began to change. At first, I was happy for her. I still remember the night she came home, eyes bright with excitement. "Chris, I got promoted today." I had hugged her tight, grinning. "I knew you could do it." But then the late nights at the office started. The extra business trips. At first, I brushed it off. This was just what came with success, right? One evening, as she got ready for yet another work dinner, I sat at the kitchen table watching her. "Honey, is everything okay? You've been so busy lately." She gave me that effortless smile, the one that used to make me feel invincible. "It's just this new project. Nothing to worry about." I wanted to believe her. But as days turned into weeks, the changes became harder to ignore. A glance at her phone that lasted a second too long. A secretive smile when it buzzed. The way she turned the screen away when I walked by. And the defensiveness, the way her tone would shift whenever I asked something simple. Then came the moment that changed everything. It was a Saturday afternoon. Nothing special. Stacy had gone grocery shopping alone, which wasn't unusual. We often took turns. I heard her car pull into the driveway, followed by the familiar rustling of paper bags. I opened the front door, ready to help. She was balancing 3 full bags, so I rushed forward to grab the heavier ones. "Here, let me help." "Thanks," she said, smiling. That same sweet smile, the one that once made me feel like the luckiest man alive. For a moment, the tension lifted. Maybe I was overthinking things. Maybe she was just stressed. But then I opened the back seat of her car to grab the last bag, and something colorful caught my eye. It was partially hidden under the seat, a flash of lacy fabric. I frowned, bending down to pull it free. And then, suddenly, I was holding a bra. A bright red bra. Not just any bra, one I had never seen Stacy wear. My heart pounded. A dozen thoughts raced through my head, each one worse than the last. "Stacy, what's this doing here?" She froze. Just for a second. Then her eyes flickered away. "Oh, that? It's nothing," she said too quickly. "I was going to get it repaired." Her voice was too casual, too rehearsed. She still wasn't looking at me. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to pretend this meant nothing. But deep down I knew. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the soft rhythm of Stacy's breathing beside me. I turned onto my side, watching her in the dim light. She looked peaceful, innocent, as if nothing had changed. But everything had. I waited until she was deep asleep before I slid out of bed. My hands were shaking as I reached for her phone. I had never invaded her privacy before, never even felt the need to. But the red lace in her car had shattered my trust. I knew her passcode. A simple 4-digit combination. Her birthday. She had never seen a reason to hide it. The phone unlocked easily. My breath caught in my throat as I stared at the screen. There were countless messages. But one conversation stood out. "Ray, work project." Ray. A name she had mentioned once, casually. Just a co-worker. My pulse quickened as I opened the thread. My stomach dropped. They weren't just texts. There were pictures. Intimate pictures. Stacy and Ray together in what looked like a hotel room. There were videos, too. The file names were random, but I didn't need to watch them to know what they contained. I felt physically sick. I scrolled through their messages, my hands gripping the phone so tightly my knuckles turned white. "Wish you were here with me now," Ray had written. "Soon, I hope. I hate going home sometimes." "It feels empty," Stacy had responded. "Next trip, let's book extra nights just for us." "Deal. I'm wearing that new lingerie you got me." I froze. My mind flashed back to the bra in her car. The red lace. It was from him. The realization hit like a punch to the gut. Tears blurred my vision, but I didn't make a sound. I sat there on the couch, Stacy's phone in my hands, watching every piece of evidence confirm what I had feared. She had built a life with me while giving pieces of herself to another man. And worst of all, he was married, too. That was when the depth of her betrayal truly sank in. I clenched my jaw, forcing myself to stay calm. I wouldn't let my emotions dictate my next move. Without hesitation, I forwarded everything to my own phone. Every message. Every picture. Every video. I made sure I had it all. Proof. Then, carefully, I deleted the forwarded messages from her phone. She wouldn't know I had seen them. Not yet. I put the phone back on the nightstand and lay down beside her, staring at the ceiling, my mind swirling with the weight of what I had just discovered. Everything we had built, every laugh, every shared moment, every promise, had been a lie. That night, after my painful discovery, I did what I had to do. I packed my bags. And I left. I packed only the essentials, a change of clothes, my wallet, and a few personal items. Quietly, I slipped out of our home while Stacy slept. I left no note, no angry words scrawled on the walls. There was nothing but the cold clarity of knowing I couldn't stay in a house built on betrayal. I checked into a hotel, but sleep never came. I just sat there, staring at the wall, letting the weight of everything sink in. The reality was undeniable. There was no fixing this. No salvaging what we once had. I knew what had to be done. At dawn, I contacted a lawyer. I laid everything out, explained, showed the evidence, and made my decision clear. There was no hesitation, no second-guessing. I didn't care about assets or negotiations. I just wanted out. By the afternoon, the paperwork was drafted. I signed the initial documents without a shred of doubt. That evening, while Stacy was still at work, I returned home one last time. I moved through the space we had built together, gathering the rest of my things, feeling only a quiet finality. On the kitchen counter, I left a manila envelope. Inside were the divorce papers and a short note. "You made your choice. Here's mine." I stood there for a moment, looking around. Every corner of that house held memories, ones that once made me smile, now tainted beyond repair. Then I walked out the door, and for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. I met Frank, my best friend, later that evening over coffee in a quiet cafe across town. As we sat in that unfamiliar space, I finally said the words out loud. "I had to let go, Frank. The truth was too painful to ignore." He nodded, his expression unreadable at first, then resolute. "You did the right thing, Chris. It's time for you to find peace." We talked for a while, about what happened, about what came next. There was no need to dissect the past any further. It was done. After finishing my coffee, I headed back to the hotel. The weight of everything still pressed down on me, but for the first time, it didn't feel unbearable. That night, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Stacy was calling again and again. I didn't answer. I didn't need to hear her excuses, her false apologies, or her desperate attempts to rewrite the truth. She had made her choice long before I ever found out. Now, she could live with the consequences. I let the phone ring, watching as missed call after missed call piled up on my screen. Then I did something that would change everything. I sent the photos and videos to her parents. No long explanations. No bitter words. Just the truth, the undeniable proof of who their daughter really was. With the images attached, I typed a simple message. This is why I'm leaving her. They deserved to know. They needed to understand why this marriage was over. Why I had walked away without looking back. But I wasn't done yet. It didn't take long to find Ree's wife. A few searches on social media, a couple of mutual acquaintances, and there she was. Lisa. She looked happy, unaware, living a life she thought was secure, just like I had been. She deserved to know, too. I sent her everything. The messages. The pictures. The videos. Then I waited. Her response came quickly. The first message was short. Who are you? I told her. I explained that I was Stacy's husband, or at least I had been until today. I told her she deserved the truth. Her next message was longer. Disbelief. Anger. Heartbreak. I understood. The crushing weight of realizing your entire world was a lie. She thanked me. Then she said she was leaving him. I set my phone down, exhaling deeply. Stacy's affair hadn't just destroyed our marriage, it had shattered another home, too. But I felt no guilt. This was the reality they had created. Now, they would have to deal with the fallout. In the days that followed, I found a small apartment across town. Every morning, I went for a run, letting the cold air clear my mind. I took up new hobbies, joined a local community center, and started rebuilding, piece by piece. I worked harder at my job. Enrolled in evening classes. Step by step, I reclaimed who I was. It wasn't easy. Some nights, I missed what we had. Loneliness crept in when the silence of the apartment became too loud. But I reminded myself, living with betrayal was a heavier burden than moving on alone. Time passed. Weeks turned into months. The memories of Stacy and our life together faded, not erased but accepted. A past that no longer held power over me. The divorce went through without much of a fight. Stacy kept the house, but I didn't care. That place was nothing more than a monument to broken trust and empty promises. I wanted no part of it. Through mutual friends, I eventually heard what became of her. She and Ree got together after everything fell apart. I wasn't surprised. They had already built something behind my back. Why not make it official? But their relationship didn't last. A few months later, I found out Stacy had cheated on him too. Apparently, Ree thought he was different. Thought he was special. He learned the hard way, if they cheat with you, they'll cheat on you. A year passed. My life settled into a steady rhythm. The past felt distant, like an old book I had closed for good. Then, one cold evening, there was a knock at my door. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I opened it, Stacy stood there. She looked smaller. Uncertain. Her eyes were downcast, and when she finally met my gaze, I saw something different, something broken. "Chris, I've been trying to find you," she stammered, her voice soft, almost trembling. I stared at her, my heart steady, my mind clear. "Stacy," I said, stepping aside to let her in, though my guard remained up. She hesitated on the threshold before speaking. "I made a terrible mistake. Save it," I interrupted. My voice wasn't cruel, but it was firm. "I don't need apologies now." Silence settled between us. Her eyes glistened with unshed tears. "I lost everything because of a choice I can't undo," she admitted. "I thought I could have it all. But now, I'm lost." I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. I thought back to every moment that led me here. To this new life. I don't have room for what you're saying now, I replied. I built my life on knowing my worth. I won't let my past undo that. She took a hesitant step forward. Please, Chris. Just talk to me. I need to understand what went wrong. But I shook my head. I don't need answers from you, Stacy. I made my choice when I left. I chose to believe in a future without lies. Her regret hung in the air, thick and heavy. But it didn't touch me any more. After she left that night, I closed the door firmly behind her. I had found my closure long ago. Her return was just another reminder of why I had to move on. And this time I knew I wasn't looking.